The silver class cars, by the way, and session 1B will follow on for those in the Pro-Am and Am classes. But right now, you're quite right, Joe. It's about getting heat in the tyres, just getting a feel for what the surface is like. Of course, it changed very much from yesterday. We had a little flurry of rain yesterday afternoon, a tiny sprinkle this morning when the GT3 cars were out. But make yourself a bit of track space, but effectively, you probably only got a chance for really 4 flying laps.
Yeah, exactly. And there's 17 cars out now in the silver class, but the problem is if you back off trying to find space, you are going to then drop to 3-timed laps. So that's why everyone at the moment looks like they're being rather naive in grouping together. But the BMW seem to turn the tyre on the best. They're pushing hard and almost flying in formation as well, aren't they? Ibrahim and Bessler there, and now ahead of the Audis, and the elite McLaren as well has actually had a pretty punchy outlap with Josh Raskin aboard that yellow McLaren behind the Audi. Yeah,
that certainly came flying up, but waiting to see when the cars get onto the start finish straight, how quickly they can go around the lap here. 17 turns all in, some of those turns maybe almost straights, but certainly the corners that really count is how tidily you can get down into turn 1 and turn the car almost completely around before you then go to that slow loop that takes you up until turn 4, and then you really start to get the feel as you start moving around the circuit at speed. But right now, the Borusan Automotive BMWs at the front of the queue. They come up to the chicane for the first time. This is their outlap, bear in mind. Next time around, they have no idea if there's going to be gravel sprinkled across it. But the car that's been dominating the championship, the number 3 team speed car Audi, way clear of those 2 aquamarine BMWs behind. And certainly showing an enormous amount of intent in a season when they can seemingly do no wrong with their Audi.
It looks like everyone's going for 2 prep laps, apart from this number 3 car. Shroud around the rear right exhaust, so I don't know if that's from a testing incident, but Benjamin Lariche for me is on a push lap, and you can see that because look at the gap to the next car behind. There's his teammate. They left at the same point, but that car was only leaving turn 2, so Lariche feels he's got the tyre underneath him and he's going to push, and he needs to. There's less than 7 minutes remaining of his session.
Well, so far, it's not a case of him having pushed too soon. He seems to have pretty much the traction he requires, going over the curbing at turn 6, down on through the little kink, the left-hand kink at turn 7, to the lowest point on the circuit, which is turn 8. He's all on his own, some no one to play with, but he, you're quite right, Joe, has attacked on what will be his first flying lap. Others may be hanging back a little bit, but certainly for a team that's just absolutely on the top of this car. Kosani and Lariche raced together for so many years, just super comfortable, but hey, shows how it's done. It's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, and Kosani and Lariche in the car at the moment have the chance to become the earliest ever silver champions this weekend. So that shows you how strong their year has been up to this point.
Yeah, because bear in mind, we've still got the 2 races here. We've got 2 more at the finale at 11th and 12th of October at Barcelona-Catalunya circuit. But why not get it done now? Relieve the pressure. Benjamin Lariche just looking so neat and tidy. Again, it comes from years of experience. It comes from a great ability. He's been, he's not totally monstering the curves. They got through the chicane neatly, tidily. So the first flying lap on the board, of course, will go to the top of the charts. But this may well be the fastest lap that anyone's manages all session. The session is already really counting through.
But look at Gilbert. I thought he was on another prep lap, but he actually just went for a slow out lap, and it actually looks like the sister car to Lariche. Here, going Gilbert in the green, silver, black Audi is going to go top. Pre-qualifying, the fastest lap was a 2:04.4, so we're still a second off that. That car that did the time was the yellow McLaren in the background. What can Raskin do? He's only 4th at the moment, but expect the lap times to drop by at least another second.
Well, Team Speed Car have obviously got their prep absolutely spot on in terms of getting the cars out and making the drivers go fast. Both drivers in the 2-minute 5-second category. The best of the rest is Berkay Bester, one of those 2 BMWs, car number 12. He's 2 minutes and 9 seconds. He's 3.8 seconds down on the ultimate pace. Of course, that ultimate pace may improve, but Speed Car, they had the first roll of the dice there.
Yeah, the back is now up to 3rd place. Nicole up to 6th as well. So the BMW's grouping together 4th, 6th and 7th at the moment. The Fords not having a great first lap, and these 2 are going to start tripping over each other. Bessler in front of that Audi of Gilbert. Look at the straight line speed of the Audi. Gilbert wants to overtake Lariche in the other Audi, now fastest in Sector 1. Gilbert steals that back, but I worry for Gilbert. He's going to start to get held up by this BMW Bessler. Look at the sectors. He was 7/10 quicker than that BMW. He's still pushing. He's got a job now to decide, do I overtake to get the gap, or do I back out of this lap into the gap behind and try and use that? But he is in a BMW sandwich at the moment.
Yeah, 4 minutes remain out of the 10 allocated to the silver class drivers. 17 of them out on the track, 16 have set a time. Sergio Nicolai has yet to come round, but certainly Benjamin Lariche at the front of the field. He's second fastest. His teammate in the number 8 sister car, the sister Audi, 0.4 of a second quicker, but Lariche certainly just hanging it right out there on the curbs. It's visually different to the way he exited the curbs. Over the curbs on the exit of the chicane on the first flying lap. Let's see how low this mark can go, but already Gilbert is improving even more in second place. Right to the top, 2 minutes 4.0 seconds is Benjamin Lariche, but being held up by the BMW, or is he? Yeah. Certainly Gilbert has made it very hard indeed, but maybe both these cars will get ahead of Benjamin Lariche. Across the finish line they go. Will Gilbert go to the top? Yes, he does. Benjamin Lariche go to second, but Berkay Bessler picked up the pace too. He's much coser. 0.8 of a second cover the top three, and the McLaren coming through for Elite Motorsport.
Yeah, great lap from Rattigan there, nearly 0.4 clear of Gilbert, who had to overtake Bessler into turn 1. And more of a race than a qualifying session for those two thus far. The Mustangs starting to climb up the order slowly, but only 6th at the moment for Evans. Yeah, that lap for Rattigan, he goes top by just over 1/3 of a second, so the McLaren to the top for Elite Motorsport. He's showing with Mackenzie Crespo. We'll see how he can do in the qualifying sessions too, but at the moment it's McLaren from 2 Audis, from 2 Aston Martins, with Seiler and Ferrier 4th and 5th. Best of the Fords, Eric Evans down in 6th place. They've been having a strong season though, but I will keep an eye on times being taken away for exceeding track limits. We will see. Yeah, Lariche still improving in Sector 1, so the tyres are hanging on. He's going to get 2 more laps. Although it's only 10 minutes, he won't take the checkered flag until that 10 minutes. So as long as he starts the lap before that point, he's okay, and he will be safe by just over a minute. So 2 more laps for Lariche here, as the car seems to be breathing a bit of vapour out the rear left there. I just spotted, can be normal. The oil of the car just starts to vaporise, and that's the vent essentially. But let's keep an eye. Just saw a puff of white smoke out the rear left corner. And I'm going to keep an eye as Rattigan goes fastest, still fastest of anyone on the opening sector. Down is 16th, so penultimate position of these silver class cars is Berkay Bessler's BMW. He lost his best time for exceeding track limits. That's why he suddenly went from 3rd after the first flying lap down all the way to penultimate position. But he is picking up the pace this time round. He'll need 1 further lap, but there's only 1 minute and 25 seconds remaining in this session. So certainly Benjamin Lariche, who's in 3rd place at the moment, he will get another flying lap in. He will not get 1 further lap, because the best lap so far, 2 minutes 3 seconds, and we don't have that much time left. But this lot coming through, they'll certainly get 1 flying lap too. Yeah, what can the BMWs do? Ibrahim up to thick, Rattigan with a problem in the middle sector. Don't think it was traffic. He's not had to overtake that Aston behind him. Is that the tyre gone? The green sector's starting to get more sparse. When I say that, look at Seiler to the top for Aston Martin. Wow, very impressive run for the racing spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin there. So again, this great spread of manufacturers, GT4 European Series, 38 cars coming out to play. NM Racing Team, been with us for years with their Mercedes at the moment. Luc Ibanez is down in 9th position. He'll be a little frustrated. He's 1.2 seconds down on the ultimate pace, and that ultimate pace may yet improve. Only 0.006 of a second, Joe. I'm going to say that again, 0.006 of a second between Seiler on pole position and Josh Rattigan in his McLaren in 2nd. And what else is tight is the championship, where Ibanez at the moment is in 4th place with his teammate Papadopoulos. They're on 79 points. They're less than 3 points behind 2nd place of Academy Motorsport. So there's only 3 points covering 2nd to 4th in this championship. So Ibanez will want to get this car higher than 8th place, and at the moment it doesn't seem like he's able to take the fight to the cars in front. No, and just to go down those points, Consani and Lariche at the moment, they're heading to qualify 5th now. They've fallen back a few places. They have 161 points, almost double the score of the crew in 2nd place, Evans and Signoretti, but the 2nd to 4th, as you said, super close. Right, what is Rattigan doing this time? He's down in 2nd place, just 0.006 of a second, and suddenly the track is being flooded, because of course those are the ones in cars in Group 1B, those are the Pro-Am and Am runners, but they won't interrupt this lot because they've just got to cross the finish line. But at the moment it's Seiler from Rattigan.
It's Aston Martin from McLaren, in other words, and then Gilbert, the best of the Audis, but Eric Evans up to 4th in the Ford, and Benjamin Lariche, who set the pace early on, down in 5th.
Yeah, Ratikkonen doesn't look like he's going to be able to improve now. 0.3 of a second off. It needs to be found in the last sector, and he boxes. How aggressive was that? He, last minute call, must have checked the delta, realised he wasn't going to improve, wants to save the tyres and get the car in. So it is Sailor from Ratikkonen, from Gilbert, who is still improving at the end. Evans gets up to 4th place from Lariche, who seemed to fade as that session went on.
It did. I mean, Lariche set off first ahead of everyone else. He had the clear track and he really went at it very early on. But Gilbert, his teammate, who's qualified at the moment in 3rd position, unless there's a late change, he had to work with the traffic, but actually did it rather better. We thought he was being delayed by Bessler, but it didn't appear to be the case. But at the moment, it's car 39 that's going to be on provisional pole, unless someone from the Pro-Am class can topple him, or one even from the Am. But it's the 39 Clement Seiler, driven Aston Martin, at the top of the charts.
Another car we didn't speak about much is this Toyota crossing the line. Duran up to 4th. I was about to say he was doing okay in 6th, but better's that 4th place. That will be good come the race this afternoon to be on the 2nd row of the grid as we see the Aston Martin pit there. And now, like you said, it's time for the second part of this session. 2 for the price of 1 thus far. And here we see the Pro-Am cars. This is Hendrick still. You can see the green number panel on the windscreen. That's Pro-Am. The red colouring will be the AMs. So 3 classes in GT4, and now we've just got 2 out on track, still working these tyres. They've got the same problem as the silver cars. They've got to work the tyres, and that's why he's still weaving left to right, making an adjustment there of the brake bias. Looks like he's going rearwards on the bias. He's going anti-clockwise by a lot as well. Normally we see half a turn to a turn. That looked like 4 or 5 turns. Maybe that's a tyre warm-up strategy that they pile it to the front, get the brakes hot, radiates into the tyres, but now he needs to go. Does look like a lot of these are definitely going for 2 prep laps versus the 1 in the silver category.
Well, one bit of good news for them is all the drivers in qualifying session 1A seem to stay within the confines of the circuit, so no gravel. When we last saw it sprinkled on in the middle part of the chicane, because certainly that could make their life very, very tricky indeed. So target time, 2 minutes 3.3 seconds precisely, and that was set by Clement Seiler in Group 1A. Now one of the forwards making a real charge there, Nathan Van Springle sharing with Michiel Haverans. And again, actually, you know, there it is in the middle. BMW, Ford, Porsche. This is the story of GT4. So many manufacturers coming to play, and some people actually...
They're finishing.
Oh, they're finishing. They were the silver ones, yes. Of course they were, yes. But they must have been very much at the last ones across the finish line. But looking for the first few cars in Group 1B and car 27, we've got Max Hubert, new boy really, this weekend. The car was driven previously this season for AV Racing, a Porsche by Mathieu Detry and Fabien Duffieux. Of course, we know they've stepped up to the GT World Challenge now, so chopping and changing through the course of the season.
Yeah, Hubert's good experience, GT4 Winter Series and the GT4 German Series as well, and Roman Wozniak is the AV team racing boss as well. He raced at Jeddah last time out, and the sister car to that is Ajith Kumar here in this lovely liveried Porsche Cayman GT4. Yeah, and he draws in the fans wherever he goes. He's a Bollywood actor, an Indian actor of enormous repute, and he just simply loves his racing. He's been commuting quite heavily this year across to Europe. He started the season in the sort of long distance racing in the Middle East in January, and draws a crowd wherever he goes. So he's just trying to gain the balance. You were looking at panel fit earlier. It looks a little bit loose around the front left corner as well on that number 28. And a lot of tracks he's having to learn as well.
Exactly.
That's so difficult. And we saw him have a bit of a shunt last time out. We go aboard another Porsche. Hendrick still now on his second push lap. Balance looking okay. You can hear how smooth the upshifts are in this dual clutch Porsche. Misses the apex slightly there, the German. He knows the track very well, brings it in for a tight apex. A lot of drivers like to get over the curb here, straddle it to open up this second part as you fling it into 4. Careful of track limits on the exit. There is a camera policing it. We were A-OK there. And you can see him actually go for the gear lever. He was just making sure it was in the right mode, because the paddle shift on the wheel is normally the optimal way. And actually Safronov in this 7 Aston Martin sticking on the rear bumper of the 32 car very smartly. We're coming to the end of sector 1 here, 58.1 is fastest in Sector 1 at the moment for Rattigan in the McLaren, and we're 0.6 off that at the moment, and actually Safronov closer than that, so the Aston Martin seems to be strong compared to the Porsche around this Nürburgring circuit.
Right, so the fastest of these drivers still down in 18th place overall, behind all 17 from the first session. But at the end of this lap, we might find some interlopers, and certainly Hendrick still has to be one of the favourites to do just that. He's been racing GT4 for a very long time indeed, and being pushed around by Safronov in the Aston Martin behind. So Porsche from Aston Martin, track up ahead of them completely clear, so no complaints should be coming from either of them. But how quick can their times be? Where will they put them on the grid? Bear in mind, this is forming the grid for this afternoon's race, and the grid for the second race. Tomorrow's GT4 European Series race will be defined by sessions 2A and 2B later on, but only 5 minutes after the end of this session, so it's really, really quick fire.
Yeah, you can hear the gravel getting kicked up underneath the Porsche of Hendrick still. Everyone being very cautious of the track limits out of 17. The reason being, you won't just lose the lap you're on, you lose the next lap as well for an unfair advantage onto the pit straight, as we see a race between the Audi and the Lotus here. Stefan Daste, team owner of the Lotus as well, struggling to get past the other speed car Audi there at the moment.
Right, there's, look at the timing graphic. The best of the runners in session 1B is Stanislav Safronov, is Aston Martin up to 5th place overall. So for Mirage Racing, that is a good run. Great to see the Lotus in the mix. You know, I'd like to see more of them. And Stefan Adast has been racing Lotuses forever and a day. So passionate about it. Alberto Nasca, his teammate, also absolutely enthusing. But good-looking car. I'd like to see more. Yeah,
I agree with that. And the Aston Martin going well. Just to explain the colours on the timing tower, the number panels there, blue is silver, green is Pro-Am, and red is Am. So they're struggling to get inside the top 25 because both drivers being Am, but the Aston Martin going well. What can Sorokin do here in the Mercedes? Comes across 34th. That is one of our Am cars at the moment. Aston Martin will be excited by this. Their last pole in GT4 was Paul Ricard last year, but that was with the old car. So this would be the first pole position for their new spec Vantage, as Huber, new to the series, crosses the line. What can he do? He's going to get himself up to 33rd place.
Clock continues to count down. 2 minutes remain in this session. I said it was quick fire. 10 minutes followed by 10 minutes, and there's a 5-minute break. Then we work on tomorrow's qualifying, the grid for tomorrow's race. But right now, a little bit of gravel at various points around the circuit. Every time you get an onboard shot, you spot it a little bit better. But certainly Stanislav Safronov in that number 7 Aston Martin going super well. 5th fastest overall. And I tell you what, if he can find 0.4 of a second, he could put himself up onto the front row.
This is close for pole position overall. Purple Sector 2. He's getting the perfect slipstream off still at the moment as well. Who's improving himself? This is going to be their last lap. What can they do? Safronov crosses the line. He goes pole position. What a lap. Aston Martin 1-2.
There you go. Shuffle the pack, and you've got 2 Aston Martins at the top. We're not finished, though. We've still got cars coming onto their final flying lap. Top Safronov's pole, provisional pole, of course, only provisional by 0.111 of a second over Clement Seiler. Same car, different team. Racing Spirit of Mine in 2nd place, but Mirage Racing at the top of the pile.
Yeah, and actually Kronberg doing well to get his Am car pole positioning class up to 22nd overall, just behind the Lotus of Diaste, who crossed the line to improve. And everyone starting their last lap now. Tyres seem to be hanging on well. Track temperature only at 23 degrees, so the Pirelli's in their dreamland temperature window. This is why we're seeing such fast lap times from these GT4 cars.
Yeah, and I have to keep an eye on all the timing screens. Various drivers are losing laps or exceeding track limits, but it's happening so thick and fast in these 2 10-minute sessions. But we'll just keep an eye on what's at the top. It's Stanislav Safronov at the top, but Max Huber, here he is on his championship debut. He's got clear track ahead of him. That is good news, at least for him, for AV Racing. Little twitch, he's trying to settle it down, but at the moment we've got Pro-Am driver on the front row of the grid. Not just that, on pole position. The clock is counting down. There goes the checkered flag. 20 minutes of 2 qualifying sessions rammed together. Session 1A and 1B are now complete, except for everyone who's out on the track doing their final flying lap, of course.
Yep, and that's a mega job by Huber. First round in the championship, we said 2nd in class, and only 2nd to Kronberg, who's been class of the Anfield as we look at Kronberg, who is still improving. So he looks safe for pole. 22nd overall on your timing tower. You can see the green slither. That's his first sector. His second one pops up now. It's another green. What's it going to be? What's his third one going to be? He's going for some scalps here of some very fast silver drivers in front. Diaste, Hart, Nikolai van Springel, Ilkov. I think he could be anywhere from 14th to 18th here, depending on how this last sector goes.
Well, so he started this final lap in 22nd position overall. Going to come to the line shortly. He stays in 22nd position, but he actually improved, got a tiny bit closer. Another 2,000 he'd have gained a place, but still out clearing now. Yeah, the last sector was a big letdown, wasn't it? All the others were intense, and it was a second loss there, so that was what could have been for him. As we see the Lotus come across the line, we've got such a good breakdown of manufacturers in GT4. 10 different manufacturers, like our bigger cousin series in GT3, also having 10 manufacturers, different 10 mind you, but it's great to see all these different shapes and size cars compete on a level playing field. Right, looking at the final handful of cars coming across the finish line. Some have already parked up in the pits, including the car that, for now, appears to have pole within its grasp. Are we going to have any late charges? Well, one's coming from the number 88 Mercedes, being pushed hard by Igor Sorokin, the NM Racing team. Get used to their cars being grey and red, but of course this is grey and yellow. This one, he is down in 35th position, so he needs an awful lot of improvement. And again, he improves his time, but doesn't go any further forward. Right there, so super tight at the end, but bragging rights to Stanislav Safronov, car number 7, not only top in his class, but top of the chart overall. So he was running in the Pro-Am class and has put it on pole ahead of a similar Aston Martin, but from a different team with a silver lineup, and that's Clement Tyler. Hendrick still pushed really hard, came home in 8th place overall, and a nice, tidy job. But really, Stanislav Safronov, he gets the bragging rights. Yeah, definitely. And Aston Martin have bought a competitive package here. And we said about 10 different manufacturers, 7 different manufacturers represented inside of the top 10. So again, great evidence of what a good job everyone at SRO do of a good, fair, balanced performance. No, exactly so. Why are the cars not being pushed back into the paddock? Because they've got to come out and play again. Within a few minutes, the session 2A will start, when the silver class drivers will go out to try and work out where they might line up on the grid for the second race, which is going to be here tomorrow, Sunday, at the Nürburgring. Last few cars coming in, Stefano Daste. And beautiful car, isn't it, the Lotus in that livery? Well, it just looks right. It looks so it's going to be handling beautifully, whether it does or doesn't. Yeah, I've driven that car as well, so I can confirm it handles as well as it looks as well, and it's a Toyota supercharged V6 in the back of it, so it screams along nicely as well. And they'll be hoping for a good result, haven't they? They've shown real glimpses of pace over the season. They certainly have, and there, Stanislav Safronov, pole position for Mirage Racing, sharing with Alexander Weintraub, will get his chance in session number 2. Clement Tyler was fastest for a while. That was when the silver class drivers. He's also in an Aston Martin, so he's top of his class, 2nd overall. Josh Rattigan really was going very nicely in his McLaren, but did the tyres go off just a little too soon? A lot of them had that. Best of the Audis, Gregory Gilbert, Jan Duran, Spanish driver, late charge for him in his Toyota to go up to 5th overall. That was one you were looking out for, and the timing was perfect. But let's go down and hear from a driver who should be very happy. His name is Stanislav Safronov on pole.
Stanislav, what an incredible lap that was, and puts you in very good stead for this weekend, and ahead of some very key names this weekend who are pushing for the championship in silver.
Yeah, I am in Pro-Am.
No, but I mean you're ahead of some very key names.
Yeah, thank you. It's really good lap, and I say thank you for my team, for Aston Martin, and let's see in the race, because quali it's only
still a long race, right?
Yeah. I'm wait the race, and I'm happy. Yeah, thank you, and say hi for my family.
Congratulations, Stanislav. Good start.
So there we are, happy indeed. But it's such a quick-fire qualifying format. One slip, and you've pretty much blown it, or just losing track position. We had 17 cars going in the first group, followed by 21 in the second. And some drivers worked it better than others. I certainly think Gregory Gilbert might have been slightly higher had he not got stuck behind Berkay Bessler. But in session 1B, came this car number 7, Mirage Racing, went to the top by just a tiny margin of a second, just over 1/10 of a second, but hey, it's pole position.
Yeah, and now it's teammate time. So those Pro-Am cars hand over to the amateur driver. So all of the amateurs in the same session together. So it's a fair fight, so we can see where everyone lines up. So Safronov putting it P1. What can his teammate Weintraub do now as we start session Q2A?
So out come the 17 silver class cars. They seem to have given themselves a little bit more spread on the circuit. In session 1A, their teammates came out almost line astern. And the car that had been fastest of the silver class cars is the one we're looking at now. Car number 39, handed over to Bourdon Dutou from Clement Seiler. Clement did the flying lap that took provisional pole position. Of course, it was toppled when the Pro-Am car of Stanislav Safronov came out at the end and pipped it, but certainly Aston Martin is looking neat and tidy around here. You know what I said about them giving themselves space? Scrap that. They've all decided to be line astern as they go down through turn 6, and it very much is down. The circuit really does rise and fall here, Joe.
Yes, beautiful topography in this part of the world as everyone's bunching together. This will be another set of new tyres for all these cars, so they're going through the same process. The warm-up procedure, they want to RAFA Racing car there, just probably in the worst position in terms of it right at the back of this queue, so finding space is going to have to slow down, whereas these Bourson automotive cars in that lovely blue, that BMW automotive, have actually adopted as an official colour. So if you're a fan and you want your own Bourson automotive coloured BMW, get online and order yourself one now.
Well, that's very good news, but of course the team very well versed in BMW law is running the BMW Turkey's distributors, so certainly that has been something that's been strongly with them. And again, I'm very fond of a team that gets its own livery and keeps it easy for us to identify, but I also think you give yourself sort of historical context. But talk about life repeating itself. In the first session, we had Benjamin Lariche out way clear at the end of the first lap, and again, his teammate Robert Consani has done what the doctor orders. The team speed car, their main job between the sessions was get the car to the front of the line. Maybe their pit garage is down towards pit exit, but this is the crew that's absolutely dominating the 2025 series. They've got 161 points. The next biggest score is the number 61 Academy Motorsport Ford Mustang on 82. Don't have to do the maths, though. It's pretty much as close as you can be to double their score.
Yeah, they are exactly on pit exit, like you said, Bruce. So that's a massive advantage, but they're just getting themselves out of this traffic, aren't they? They're maybe losing a slight bit of performance by having to just attack it out the box, but they're not going to get compromised, not going to trip over anyone. Big slide there, though, and the Audi is definitely working the rear tyre. I've already seen the deflection in that rear tyre as it bounces over the curbs. These relatively skinny tyres compared to GT3 cars, meaning less mechanical grip, less aero, and the higher weight for GT4 means they're very, very hard to drive on the edge, and that's what Consani's done so well this year, and I think his rally background has certainly helped with that.
Yeah, he's bagged 2 poles so far. He does the second session each time, but he's absolutely roaring clear. Benjamin Lariche obviously runs very well with him in the race, but the qualifying expert is Consani. That's what he's doing now. But Petit, not too far off the pace either in that number 8 CM speed car, the sister car that he shares with Gregory Gilbert. And let's see how Gabriele Piano, oh, that's not a good lap so far for the chasing pack. For Piano, you expect more from him. He knows this circuit very well, but he may well be doing what you suggested. Some take 2 laps out of the pits before they go for it, because certainly, I remember at the end of the first flying lap in the equivalent session, there were 2 cars on 2 minutes 5, and the rest were 2 minutes 9.
Yeah.
You know, and then next time around, of course, it closed right up, and at the end, we ended up with a 2 minutes 3.3 precisely for pole position. So there's plenty more to come.
Yeah, maybe Piano's taking it softly on that lap. Consani here going to cross the line to give us our benchmark lap 5.2, so it's 0.2 quicker than his teammates' first lap, but we're still well over a second and a bit off the fastest. What can Paul Petit do in the sister Audi? Again, he's got some great space, hasn't he, as the next set of cars exits the last corner. It's 3 BMWs, 2 of them from Boursan Automotive, the other one, the number 10 car there, splitting them in the middle at the moment. That time's getting quicker, but it's definitely this second lap we need to have a look at.
Yeah, it is, and certainly expect something coming from this driver, Gabriele Piano. He's Italian by birth, but almost seems like a child of the Nürburgring. There's hardly a race that goes on here without him in it, and certainly he's been based up here for quite some while. Knows the twists and turns, not just of this, but of the full Nordschleife. Does a lot of the long distance races on those as well. Well, talking about, he's not doing a long distance race, he's making it the shortest route around the circuit, of course.
They're doing a good job there with that. No track limits monitored at the apex, so he should be okay. So you've got the two Borson automotive cars, then you've got this Willy Motorsports car in the sandwich, so they're making the meat in the Borton bread, you could say. No track limits there either, so don't worry about all four tyres being, and Piano is definitely maximising this. What's the first sector going to be? He crosses the beam now. It's fast, but you can see 6/10 quicker than his best, but it's not anywhere near Paul Petit at the moment. That Audi has definitely turned its tyres on. 4/10 up in sector 1.
Yeah, Paul Petit, 3/10 up on his own teammate, Robert Consani, who has the provisional fastest time. Oh, but Piana just making the car dance through the chicane and on the climb back up the hill, and then he's got the downhill dip, and then you move up the hill to the real chicane, the uphill chicane, turns 14, 15 and 16. Just been negotiated there by Robert Consani. What sort of time is he going to put on the board? He's got a 2-minute 5.2 second lap. Let's see what this one's going to be. Surely it's going to be quicker. I reckon he's going to take a second and a half off that. Maybe we'll get the car into the high 2-minute 3s, maybe low 2-minute 4s. 2 minutes 4.136. Will that be toppled by Petit? Wait for it, wait for it. Here comes Petit in the green team speed car Audi. Clock continues to count down. Does his lap time to continue to count down? Will it be toppled by Gabriele Piana? So Petit goes top, 2 minutes 3.75 seconds. Who else is on the charge? Oh, the Michel Haveran's Ford is also making moves as well in the background of the shot shortly. Let's see if that's going to go top. Gabriele Piana does gather it up to come into second place. Certainly he attacked that lap very hard. He's down by 12 1,000ths. Haveran slots into third. He's only 26 1,000ths, even just further back. And now let's see the McLaren working out wide.
Cresswell goes up to 6th there in the elite car. He's superseded by another McLaren of Davis up to 4th for that car. Henry David, to the top there. Where did that come from? Didn't really see anything of it. Strong sectors, no purple sectors, but he is clear. It's only 19 thousandths between them. And look how tight this is. We have the top 5 covered by 66 thousandths at the moment.
That's not a blink, that's a fast blink, I think we can safely say. Mustang rumble over the line, up into 6th place. That's Marco Signoretti.
Orton gone fastest as well by 9 thousandths, so we're keeping the tight nature there. So top 6 covered by 1/10. Signoretti to Orton, less than 1/10 of a second. This is phenomenal. People still improving, and Paul Petit is one of them in the number 8 speed car Audi.
Yeah, and hasn't got anybody in front of him. This is very good news for the French racer. Down the hill he goes. Target time 2 minutes 3. If you get to 2 minute 3.5, that might be safe in this session at least. But we saw the Pro-Ams last time around having a shot. But if they're Pro-Ams, it means if they went in the first session, their AM teammate will be in one in the second. So really, I think the car on top of this session ought to end up at the top overall. But what do I know?
Yeah, we saw the fastest lap in Q1 was a 3.1, so we're still 6/10 off that, so expect lap times to keep falling. We're seeing that on the sectors, aren't we? Paul Petit, where can he go? It's going to be a low 203. 203.1 is the fastest we've had of the day, and it's a 6. That last sector was quick, but surprisingly, we're away off that. What can Piana do as he crosses the line? He stays 4th. Looks like the tyres might have gone on the BMW.
Well, he was pushing so hard on the previous lap, squeaking every inch he possibly could, try and shorten the lap, bouncing over the curbs. Adrien David stays in 3rd place, so it's Paul Petit from Will Orton. There's someone who's run a little bit wide out of turn 16, but just got it back on the back stuff. Adrien David, the 87 numbered Toyota Supra, lost a bit of his pace in that middle sector. Will he improve his time? He's crossing the line in 4th place, goes up to the top, 2 minutes 3.465 seconds, but others still in with the shot. Their session officially ends in 30 seconds time because they were allocated 10 minutes, the first part of qualifying session 2. Where's the change coming from? Will Orton sitting in 2nd place in his Aston Martin.
And Petit on another purple sector. It was Davis that kicked up the dust in front of that Toyota, and he went on to 4th on that lap. So that McLaren's got some serious pace, considering he wasn't touching the tarmac for a good few hundred meters out of that And again, here's Petit. We saw this last lap. I've got deja vu here. We had a purple sector 1, and then the lap started to fade away from the Audi. What can Petit do? Can he keep the ante up? Can he take it to the Toyota and the Aston Martin in front? Need to find just over 0.2 a second to get pole position.
It's next to nothing when you see differences of just thousandths of a second. So 0.2 clear. Paul Petit in third position, but he's shaved off 5 100ths. He's going to have to shave more than that. He's lost it in the middle sector, unless he can pull out something phenomenal. In the very short final sector, it starts just before the uphill chicane and then runs through this final corner onto the start-finish straight. Of course, if you exceed track limits at turn 17, this, the final corner, your lap will be taken away from you. But I don't think this is going to be enough for Petit unless he does something sensational. Well, it improves into second place. He goes to within 0.2, but not enough to topple Hadrian David.
Piana crosses the line up to second. What a mega last sector that was, fastest out of anyone. So the order is still changing. We're still slower than Q1, so there is some time to be found out there. What can Cresswell do? 10th place at the moment for our team reigning champion in elite motorsport with this McLaren Artura twin turbo V6. Just about keeps it legal as he crosses the line. Where's he going to go? He needs to lift himself up. He does, but only one place to 9th.
Super tight on the timesheets, out on the track as well. So Will Orton tucked in behind in his racing spirit of Le Mans. Aston Martin getting a tow, but he actually wanted the clear track. But Mercedes just sitting there in front of him. But at the moment, bragging rights to Hadrian David, top for Toyota. Then the best of the BMWs, Gabriele Piana et al. And already the pit lane will be disgorging other cars out onto the circuit in this, where qualifying session 2A fuses into 2B.
Or not to be will be the question, and the Ginetta actually has its team manager being called to race control from session 1, so hopefully that isn't a penalty that they attract, and the silver cars will be slowing down to make their way in. Here we see the Lotus this time with NASCAR aboard, hugely popular figure online, always gets a lot of comments on the live chat as well, so he'll be hoping to get that car well upside. Maybe top 15 is a realistic target for that Lotus.
Yeah, never met NASCAR until the start of this year, and he's just such a personable person, isn't he? He's just, you know, full of enthusiasm, and as you hope all drivers will be, but
yeah, rarely they are. And luckily we had him at Spa during the long red flag period, and he carried a lot of the TV, so I'll be eternally grateful for him. So now we go on board. Hendrick's still earlier. This is Joachim Bolting, so the amateur driver. This will be a good view of what the difference between a pro and AM is. And Joachim Bolting, a very fast AM, the gap hovering around 2 seconds between him and his pro, and it's all in the energy of the car. It's the confidence to lean on the tyre in these long sweeping corners, to tell yourself, get off the brake, keep the speed high, keep your vision high so you know where the car's going, and making sure you maximise everything. We're still in the warm-up procedure at the moment, so we're not on the ragging edge. You can see him just trying to feel the grip. A couple of pulls on the belts to make sure they're as tight as possible, but we're still 3 seconds off. And look at that snap of oversteer as the rear tyres come up to temperature. They'll just be feeling these, trying to stay off the curbs. The curbs put so much energy into the tyre, you can cause a failure later in life because the tyre pressure is not there to offer the support. So the team's always reminding the drivers, take the first couple of laps easy. And there's Weintraub, his teammate was on pole, and this has been a great illustration of the battle these cars have been having all season long. Aston Martin versus Porsche.
Certainly is. Conditions improving all the time, track temperature rising all the time. Now 25 degrees. Early in the day it wasn't. Still plenty of gravel on the exit of the corner. You can see the cars dropping into the compression before they rise up to the chicane. So effectively that's been people cutting the curb at turn 12, but hasn't really caught them out. The drivers need to be further to one side. Now Weintraub, it's been a great meeting so far for Mirage Racing, as Joe pointed out. Pole for race 1. That's this afternoon's race. This is trying to work out pole or grid positions for race 2, which will be held tomorrow, Sunday, here at the Nürburgring. But Joachim Bolting being effectively shoved across the finish line by the Aston Martin tucked in behind.
Yeah, Bolting was defending here. I don't think he wants to lose position to Weintraub, but Weintraub wants to get past, and he'll want the remainder of the session free. Let's see who's leading out of turn 1. That's going to be a battle, and it's the Aston Martin. I think that's pretty important. I think that shows real intent of who's potentially going to be on pole position in this Pro-Am class.
Yeah, and you have to feel really, you know, furious if you got stuck behind another car and you think, I've got the car to take pole position or send me right to the top of the grid. You're stuck behind someone else who's close, but just not on your pace, particularly in such a short session when your tyres are sweet just for a moment or two, or the ultimate time on those tyres. And certainly, having got clear, you'd expect Weintraub to pull away now. Now he's got to just really focus. His first task was to get past that Porsche. Second task is to deliver in terms of accuracy and speed.
Yeah, and with 4.5 minutes remaining, he's going to keep pushing. Sometimes you get past the car, then you back out of it. You don't let the position back, but you keep the energy out of the tyre to buy yourself some more life on those tyres. But Weintraub pushing on nicely, less than a second off the fastest Pro earlier in this session from the silver class. So this has been okay, considering he had to overtake into turn one, and this is going to give us a great illustration of the Pro-Am gap as well. At the moment, the gap growing bigger to bolting behind.
Yeah, Weintraub absolutely flying neat and tidy though. I must say he's not taking too many chances. He's seemingly really learning through the course this season, getting a good balance out of his car there. But again, the team has a helping hand in that, of course, as well. But now using the topography of the circuit very nicely indeed.
We'll get a good illustration here as they go through the end of sector 2, what the gap is going to be. First sector's the longest, middle sector is the middle longest, and then the last one very, very short, but 1.5 seconds lost in that middle sector. And it's actually that Ginetta of Mojca that's looking strong in the Pro-Am class. At the end of this lap, I expect that Ginetta to be the fastest Pro-Am car as they cross the line. They're going to get a couple of more push laps.
Yeah, 18th and 19th positions for Weintraub and Mojca. The Ginetta, there it is, car number 51, looking very, very tidy indeed, and very quick on the exit of the chicane. Had to come off the power maybe a little bit, got very, very close to the tail of the Porsche up in front. It seems to have the pace out of turn 17 to go on past, but you don't have many laps that you can scupper. So Weintraub puts a couple of the silver class cars behind him. He moves up the order into 16th position. I beg your pardon, he was 16th, he's now 17th. And then we've got Cindy Goudet, car number 99, has moved very nicely up the order, shares that with Gabriela Gilkova. That's the Matmut Evolution Toyota. So she is the one that's had the best first lap, or first proper flying lap, or second flying lap, but first one that really counts. And she's got up to 12th place overall, waving the flag for drivers in the Pro-Am class.
And here we see Nasaka crossing the line, 34th position at the moment, crossing the line up to 12th. That is a mega lap, and that's pole position in Pro-Am as well. Really good lap from Nasaka.
Yeah, it certainly is. We talked about how it's good to see a driver full of enthusiasm. You can imagine they might have to sort of keep him under control when he gets out of the car. If he takes class pole, he'll be so enthusiastic. Right, Ajith Kumar just working his way around the circuit. He has got a couple of drivers behind him. He's in 36th overall. Yeah,
the only solo driver, so he does both sessions, of course. Double the track time, double the work, though, as we see team owner of AV Racing, Wozniak, across the line. Where's he going to lift himself up to? 2 places higher, 32nd place.
Right, so the best runner in this session 2B is Alberto Nasca, 12th place overall. When combined with all the silver class cars, what's going down? The thing that's going down is the clock. It's down to 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining. Now, what are we going to see this time around from Alexandra Weintraub? This number 7 Aston Martin from Mirage Racing. Again, neat, tidy, car looking relatively composed there. A little bit of movement when he came off the curbing. Now into turn 17, such a vital corner. Exceed the track limits, you've blown that lap, you've blown the next one as well. But he didn't, that's important. The Porsche behind him certainly ran a little wider.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think bolting did do that, so I'll keep an eye on the timing screen for that. Weintraub's last lap is better, and it's up to second in class now, only 8 thousandths behind the Lotus, so it's getting tight at the top.
Certainly is. It just continues to rotate for the cars in this session. Alberto Nasca is now fastest. Alexandra Weintraub is behind the Lotus in his Aston Martin in terms of times, and Cindy Goudet.
Slow.
But
it looked slow out of the corner, and it just hasn't got up to speed, I don't think. Let's have a look at the sector. It looks more normal at the end of the straight, but look, 5.5 seconds lost. Is that a problem with the car, or is that just a reset and we're going to get ready to push? Is he going to box? He isn't, so I think that's maybe just a reset, maybe a moment in the middle of the lap somewhere there for the Lotus.
When he's got time to do it, it's coming out of the final corner, 24 seconds and going down all the time until the checkered flag will fall on this session. So he'll get this lap in and the next one. That's the important thing. And so will the next handful of cars behind him. 10 seconds remaining. So maybe a few more will get another go. But it's Naska, Weintraub and Goudet who are 12th, 13th and 14th overall. Best of the Pro-Am and Am runners. In fact, best of the Am runners is Blickel down in 24th position overall. That's car number 30, Dan Blickel, sharing with Max Kronberg, WNS Motorsport. Cindy Goudet going so well in this Matmut Evolution Toyota. 14th overall, not improving this time around, and important to do so because this is the final time around that can count.
Yeah, the car looking good. That Toyota Supra always rides the curbs so well, and she's having a good day so far, isn't she? But it's going to be hard to improve on this lap. Teammate was pole position in Q2A, and at the moment we're going to be third in class, so the race tomorrow will be competitive for the 99 car.
Certainly will. Are we going to see any more improvements? In fact, pretty much everyone in this class did improve last time around, but this is their last time around. Coming out of the, you just sense the Mojica, Ginetta getting a little bit delayed out of the chicane there. They were well placed in class there at the moment. Not in that grouping, just looking to see the times changing. Cindy Goudet stays in 14th place overall, no improvement for her. The clock has run down 2 qualifying sessions, or 4 really, 2 double qualifying sessions, so we know the grid for this afternoon's race, and just waiting for the final cars to come through, but nobody is going to topple Hadrian David from top of the table, top of the charts. He was in the silver class and his time has not been beaten, but remember in the first qualifying sessions we did have a car from the Prime class go to the very, very top overall. That was Stanislav Safronov. This time around at least the silver drivers can go, none of them beat us.
Lotus back up to speed. Look at the sectors, look okay. And it is an improvement on the lap, and that was needed just to give a bigger gap. But Pro-Am pole for that Lotus is a mega result, and we also need to give a bit of a shout out to the 60 car, because that hasn't got a lap time. It did register one about 20 seconds ago, and then it lost it to track limits, I think, because it lost a lot of its session due to a problem. It only got one time lap in, and that one time lap was taken away for track limits on that last corner. All the cars slowing down immediately. You can see they get put straight back into their paddock here at the Nürburgring. So much track action here today. We can't afford to lose a single minute, giving them a full in-lap, and they'll head straight to scrutineering so we can get ready for our next session of the day.
Yeah, super fast. No pit lane for them. The pit lane entry is closed. Into the paddock they go. But once the dust has settled, it's pole position for the Toyota of Hadrian David by 0.09 of a second. Nothing, but an important nothing. Then Gabriele Piana came through to qualify second fastest. Borissan Automotive BMW, and Pierre Petit looking for gaps in traffic in the Audi. Car number 8 goes third fastest, just ahead of Will Orton, best of the Aston Martins this time round, with more manufacturer variety. 6 mates in the top 6. Davis and Haverans for McLaren, and Ford in 5th and 6th place overall, still within 0.3 of a second of pole position. In fact, the top 11 cars covered by just over half a second. Then a bit of a gap back to Stefano D'Asti and Alberto Nasca's Lotus. But 2 really good qualifying sessions, and I'm sure the race is going to be fantastic. The one this afternoon for GT4 European Series will kick off just after 5 o'clock. So join us, we'll be on air 5:05, and bragging rights all around. But let's take a look back at the highlights in a day that keeps on improving here at the Nürburgring. This is the GT4 European Series, and it was all about getting on the track early, and certainly Benjamin Lariche was first out of the pits in the first of the qualifying sessions. But it was teammate Gregory Gilbert in the green and black number 8 Audi who seems to be the quicker of the pair. It was great to see some strong laps from the McLaren. Josh Rattigan really making it fly for Elite Motorsport. But at the end, Clement Seiler put his Aston Martin to the top. But he wasn't to stay there. He was in the silver session, but when this group of cars came out of the pits to do the Pro-Am and Am charge to see where they could qualify overall, one of them went to the very top, and at the end it was Stanislav Safronov in another Aston Martin, this time from Mirage Racing, who would have the bragging rights at the end. Certainly was pushed hard at certain points. There he is, car number 7, using the curbs very nicely indeed. And that meant he took pole for the for this afternoon, Saturday's race here at the Nürburgring. But in no time, it was a chance for the second drivers in those cars to go out in qualifying session 2 to see who could get on the grid in pole position for Sunday's race here at the Nürburgring. A lot of drivers losing times for track excess. Certainly the stewards looking very hard at that, and a little spin down into the opening corner there, but it was about going to the front, and in the end it was Hadrian David who went to the top and took pole position in a Toyota. Join us this afternoon for the first of 2 races here at the Nürburgring.